There shows no sign of slowing down the number of stories coming out of our galaxy far, far away. So let's dive right on in and discuss the updates to the Star Wars canon timeline, September 2017. Leia, Princess of Alderaan, a new quasi-origin story by Claudia Gray. Star Wars Phasma, an origin story about this mysterious stormtrooper by Delilah S. Dawson. BB-8 on the Run. Rogue One, issue number 6, the final issue in this adaptation. The first issue in Star Wars Adventures, a comic for younger readers by IDW. Star Wars Captain Phasma, issue number 1. The first in a miniseries detailing how Captain Phasma escaped Starkiller Base. Star Wars Darth Vader, Dark Lords of the Sith, issue number 5. Star Wars issue number 36. Star Wars Dr. Aphra, issue number 12. Star Wars Adventures, issue number 2. Star Wars Annual, issue number 3. Star Wars Captain Phasma, issue number 2. Star Wars Poe Dameron, issue number 19. And finally, Star Wars Jedi of the Republic Mace Windu, issue number 2. Now let us take a brief look at where each of these stories fits within the Star Wars canon timeline. We have to move through the timeline past Episode 2 before we find some new stories this month. Moving into the era of the Clone Wars, we get the second issue in the Mace Windu miniseries. Mace faces a droid adversary who proves to be quite a skilled swordsman. He has to protect the natives of the planet from getting caught up in the battle between the Republic and the Separatists. Inside Star Wars Adventures number 1, there is a short comic called Stop, Thief, which takes place during the Clone Wars era, featuring Obi-Wan as he helps his friend Dex stop a common thief. After Episode 3, Darth Vader, issue number 5, continues to build on the first actions of Darth Vader after he gets his suit. Also, in this large gap of time is the new novel Leia, Princess of Alderaan, detailing how Leia became involved with the rebellion and decisions she made to get to where she is today. Rogue One finishes up with issue number 6, wrapping up a great adaptation that adds a lot to the story. After Episode 4, A New Hope, Star Wars Adventures number 2 tells us the story of Yavin 4, as the Empire returns to wipe out the rebels who have not quite yet completed their evacuation. Quick work from Yvonne Verlaine, a character from the Princess Leia comics, helps buy the rebels enough time to escape. Star Wars number 36 gives us a great one-shot style story as R2-D2 goes on a solo mission to rescue C-3PO. It is told in such a way to illuminate how special this particular astromech droid is. There are also Imperial droids similar to that of K2SO, which helps tie the continuity between Rogue One and this original trilogy era. The Star Wars Annual number 3 follows Leia and Han as they are seeking out a new base for the Rebel Alliance, but they aren't the only ones who know about the place. In Dr. Aphra number 12, BT-1 and 000 force Aphra into a position of removing their program blocks that force them to be subservient to her. Otherwise, they will reveal her to Darth Vader, whom they have called to the station. After Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, we have been treated to the backstory behind the famed Captain Phasma, her connection to the Huxes, and how she became the leader in the First Order we know her to be. Poe Dameron number 19 brings the gang back together as they go up against agents of the First Order full force. How will the story get spun in the propaganda web that General Leia Organa is trying to create? Star Wars Adventures number 1 and number 2 contain a two-part story focusing on Rey as she saves Unkar Plutt from a scam to take over his salvaging business. This shows a relationship between the two that is not apparent to us from The Force Awakens. We also have an illustrated children's book called BB-8 on the Run, which tells a sweet story about BB-8 after getting separated from Poe Dameron before encountering Rey. This story shows us the caring side of this little droid and how its decisions were in the best interest of others, but ultimately helped get to where BB-8 needed to be. For the first time, we begin to get stories past The Force Awakens, with the release of Captain Phasma issues number 1 and number 2. Captain Phasma was indeed thrown down a garbage chute on Starkiller Base, but in issue number 1 we get to see how she escaped and the lengths she goes in order to cover up the knowledge that she was the one who lowered the shields to Starkiller Base. She, along with one of the TIE pilots, pursue this traitor in issue number 2, in an effort to stop this information from reaching the wrong people. Now to preview what is coming up this month. Forces of Destiny, Daring Adventures Volume 2, Jyn, Ahsoka, and Leia. Join the Resistance number 2. Star Wars, From a Certain Point of View, the 40th anniversary book presenting 40 short stories retelling A New Hope from different character perspectives, including some new canon favorites. Captain Phasma, issue number 3. Darth Vader, issue number 6. Star Wars, issue number 37. Dr. Aphra, issue number 13. Star Wars Adventures number 3. Captain Phasma, issue number 4. Adventures in Wild Space number 5, The Cold. Jedi of the Republic Mace Windu issues number 3, and finally, The Legends of Luke Skywalker, a collection of short stories filled with tales of various degrees of canon truth about what happened to Luke Skywalker between episodes 6 and 7. That concludes this update for September 2017, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and keep up with all the insight and analysis found here at Star Wars The Canon Explained. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Leave your comments and questions about this video or any elements of the Star Wars canon below. Till next time, may the Force be with you.